The movie, CJ7, focuses on a young boy and his father. The young boy is Dickie, a lone kid who is always the victim of bullying at school. Despite getting picked on by his classmates, Dickie still tries to stay positive and happy. Dickie's father is named T, who is a laborer. T is hardworking, and behind his tough facade, T is actually a loving father who will always do what's best for his child. Dickie went to school, looking dirty, when Mr. Chow, one of his teachers, approached him. Mr. Chow yelled at Dickie for looking so dirty, and another teacher came to stop Mr. Chow. This is Ms. Yuan, the sweet teacher who'd always look out for Dickie. Ms. Yuan asks Dickie what his father does and where he is because she wants to talk to him about Dickie. But Dickie tells her that his father is always busy. In class, the students are telling the class what they want to be. When it was Dickie's turn, he said he wanted to be poor, and the whole class laughed. Mr. Chow told the students to quiet down, and Dickie continued. He said that he wanted to be poor because he wanted to show integrity despite being poor, and then people could see that even if they were poor, they still deserved to be respected. Mr. Chow, who was just silently looking at Dickie, accidentally dropped his pen, and Dickie went to pick it up for him. But this only got Mr. Chow mad. Mr. Chow yelled at Dickie to drop his pen and go back to his seat before picking up his pen with a tissue in disgust. After class, the students are in the cafeteria. Dickie's rich classmate, Johnny, is bragging about his CJ1, an expensive robot dog, that his father bought for him. Dickie takes a closer look at the robot dog in awe, but he just gets pushed away. The bullies then approached a large kid, Maggie, who was just silently eating, and called her a monster for being so big. Dickie calls them out, but again, he gets degraded instead. On the construction site, T.I.'s boss told him to go home, but T didn't want to. He wanted to get an electric fan for Dickie, who'd always feel hot when they slept. His boss tells him to just put Dickie in a public school so he can save up money, but T disagrees. Even if they are poor, he still wants Dickie to attend a private school so he can get more opportunities. T then convinced his boss that he could still manage, and his boss soon relented, letting T go back to work. Back at home, T went back home with an electric fan hidden behind him. He told Dickie to turn around, and he set up the electric fan. When Dickie turned back around, he was so happy to see the electric fan and excitedly told his father to open it. But the fan didn't work. T was confused as he spent a lot of money on the electric fan, and Dickie called him stupid for getting ripped off. T then reprimanded Dickie for saying a bad word, and he told Dickie that even if they are poor, they should have integrity. They shouldn't steal, lie, cheat, or do anything that will make people look down on them even more than they already do. T tells Dickie that he wanted him to grow up and be successful, unlike him, who wasn't able to achieve his dreams and is now living a poor life. The father and son duo then ate the leftover foods they have, while T ate a spoiled apple. Dickie tells his father to get him new shoes as he was punished at PE class because his shoes were already so worn out that he couldn't do activities with it anymore. And T just said yes. The next day, they went to the mall, and when Dickie saw the CJ1 that his classmate also had, he asked his father to buy it for him. But T rejected him, as he didn't have any money to buy such an expensive toy. Upset, Dickie cried and ran away. T followed him, and when he found him, he saw a girl comforting his son. T approached them, and the girl turns out to be Ms. Yuan. Ms. Yuan introduced herself to T, and told him that she wanted to do a home visit to talk with T about Dickie. She believes that education shouldn't only come from schools and teachers, but also from parents, and that is why she wanted to involve T in helping Dickie. They then parted ways, and the father and son duo went home. At night, T went to the junkyard to look for a usable shoe for Dickie when he found a weird green balloon-like ball. He took it home and tried to give it to an upset Dickie, but failed. When T left for work, Dickie immediately looked for what his father wanted to give him, and was so happy when he saw the green ball. The next day, Dickie brought the ball to school to show it to his classmate, Fanny. But Fanny didn't like it and left him behind. Then Johnny and his friends came, and got a larger boy to throw Dickie around. At night, T was angry because Dickie's uniform was torn. Dickie just stayed quiet, fidgeting with the green ball, when it suddenly started acting weird. Dickie got scared, thinking it was a ghost, and told his father. But T just got angry and ended up locking him up inside the cabinet, along with the ball. Inside the cabinet, Dickie saw the ball moving, and then suddenly lights came out of the ball. Then Dickie saw what seemed to be a projection of outer space and a tiny creature running around and trying to show him something. Then the green ball turned into the creature he saw in the projection. His father let him out of the cabinet, and when he left for work, the dog-looking alien came out of the cabinet and sat in front of him. Dickie asked the alien dog if it came from outer space, but the alien dog didn't answer, of course. Dickie found the alien dog cute, and he got even happier when he realized the alien dog had powers. The next day, he got the alien dog to beat a stray dog. At school, Dickie had an exam, but he didn't study. So he asked the alien dog to help him. The alien dog created shades for him. That shade helped Dickie answer the exams perfectly, all the while getting Johnny into trouble. After the exam, Mr. Chow got suspicious of his shades and asked Dickie to give them to him. Dickie threw the shades at Mr. Chow, and they exploded on his face. After the exam, Dickie had PE, and he got the alien dog to create advanced shoes for him. During PE class, he did everything perfectly, and the PE teacher got suspicious of his shoes. So he asked Dickie to give it to him, but Dickie fought back. Dickie and the PE teacher had a fight, and the PE teacher lost. Then Ms. Ewan came and scolded Dickie for what he did. Cornered, Dickie flew up to the sky, and using the powers the alien dog gave him, he knocked everyone down. Then Dickie woke up and realized it was all just a dream. But then he saw the alien dog, and realizing that the alien dog was real, he thought that his dreams might happen in real life too. Dickie named the alien dog CJ7. Then he went to the stray dog and told CJ7 to beat up the dog, but CJ7 got scared and ended up being a chew toy for the dog. Dickie was disappointed, but he still asked CJ7 to help him with his exam. It was an epic failure again, as all CJ7 gave Dickie was a turd. Throughout the exam, Dickie was holding the turd, and after the exam, Johnny saw him holding it and slapped Dickie's hand, smashing the turd against Dickie's face. Dickie got mad at CJ7, demanding the alien dog help him in PE class. But CJ7 was tired and beaten up and ended up shooting Dickie with a bunch of turds. The PE teacher had to tell school staff to spray Dickie with water as Dickie stood still in humiliation. Mad at CJ7, Dickie threw CJ7 in the trash and walked away. He felt guilty immediately and went back to get CJ7, but then he saw that all the trash had been taken by the garbage collector truck. He cried as he went home, guilty for what he did to CJ7. T asked him what happened and then showed him CJ7, who was chilling on a pot. Dickie and CJ7 were both happy when they saw each other, and Dickie hugged CJ7. Meanwhile, T was amazed at CJ7. Dickie told him that CJ7 was a robot, so T checked CJ7. He stretched, bent, and squashed CJ7 and was amazed at how advanced it is. Poor CJ7 was getting thrashed around like a fluffy toy. Seeing poor CJ7's state, Dickie took him from his father and admitted that CJ7 actually came out of the ball that his father gave him the other night. When the father-son duo was already sleeping, CJ7 noticed how uncomfortable he was. CJ7 did his magic and fixed the electric fan to make his new owners comfortable. The next day, Dickie brought CJ7 to school again. But then Johnny and his friends saw CJ7 and tried to steal it from him. CJ7 ran away, and everyone chased after the alien dog. Johnny got CJ7 and tried to use tools on it. Seeing the drill Johnny was holding, CJ7 broke free from Johnny's goons and tackled the bully. CJ7 ran away, and one of Johnny's goons arrived. Maggie also came and helped Dickie. The group got into trouble when they got caught fighting by a teacher and got reprimanded. When the teacher left, CJ7 ran to Dickie, and Johnny asked him what CJ7 is. Dickie said that CJ7 is a robot, and he showed the other kids what CJ7 does. Johnny and the other kids were amazed, and Dickie thanked Johnny for not telling the teacher about CJ7. Johnny told him that it was fine and that their business shouldn't be discussed with adults. Just like that, the kids got a little closer with the help of CJ7's cuteness. At the construction site, T was bragging about the exam paper Dickie gave him. He was so happy that his son got a perfect score. But then Dickie's boss told him that Dickie must have cheated. It angered T, and he argued with his boss, who fired him in the end. T got home the next morning, and he scolded Dickie for changing the real scores of his exam. He was angry that Dickie got 0 and as a punishment, he confiscated CJ7 from Dickie. Upset, Dickie angrily promised to get a high score, and if he got a high score, he'd run away from home. Later on, T went to Dickie's school because Dickie forgot his lunchbox. Ms. Ewan saw him and approached him. T handed her Dickie's lunchbox, and when Ms. Ewan offered to let him in, he politely rejected her. Ms. Ewan then said that Dickie was being temperamental and told her what happened between him and his father. She offered to help Dickie after school, telling T that she could bring Dickie home and talk to him. T was grateful and held Ms. Ewan's hand, thanking her repeatedly. They parted ways, and Ms. Ewan looked back at T as he pedaled his bike away. T went to the construction site in hopes of getting accepted again. He went to the boss office and was thankful that the boss was accepting him again. The two of them apologized for the argument the other night, and the boss handed T some money to help with Dickie's school fees. T then went back to work, while Dickie was taking his exam seriously so he could prove his father wrong. But then T got into an accident. A rope accidentally wrapped around his leg and pulled him down the building. After the exam, Dickie was happy to see that he got a passing grade, but that happiness got washed away when Ms. Ewan took him to the hospital where his father was. Dickie waited, and when he saw the doctor coming out of the emergency room, he saw how the adults reacted to what the doctor said. Ms. Ewan took him home and was sad to see where Dickie was living. She then tried to douse the bomb as gently as she could and told Dickie that his father had passed away. Dickie didn't want to believe it. He cried and told Ms. Ewan to leave, believing that his father would be home the next day when he woke up. Ms. Ewan cried outside as her heart broke for Dickie, who lost his father at such a young age. Meanwhile, CJ7 was at the morgue with T.I.'s body. He used his powers to bring T back to life, and he was successful. The next day, Dickie woke up in his father's arms, and he was so happy. They heard a noise coming from T.I.'s bag, and when they saw that it was coming from CJ7, Dickie was worried. He asked CJ7 what was wrong, but the alien just whimpered. The blinking stone on CJ7's antenna dropped out and turned into ashes. CJ7 got smaller and smaller until he turned into a stuffed toy. For days, Dickie and T tried to figure out what happened and how they could bring CJ7 back. Soon, Dickie learned to accept it, and he made sure to study hard not only for his father but also for CJ7 now. Months passed by, and everyone was happy. Dickie became friends with his former bullies, although Johnny would still take what was Dickie's. T ended up pursuing Ms. Ewan, who seems not to be amused at how unfunny T is. And every day, Dickie would close his eyes and count to 3, hoping that when he opened his eyes again, he'd see CJ7 back in his old form. One day, as he was lying on the grass, Dickie saw a UFO flying above him. He followed the UFO and saw CJ7 running towards him, followed by the whole race of the alien dogs.